wouldn't you say that LA Knight is that wrestler that we feel like the fans are behind, and we get a lot of phone calls, especially over the last couple of years, Bully, like, LA Knight's over, the fans love him, but something might be missing, or there's a little bit of a connection that's not, 100% between performer and consumer. Now he's getting the opportunity of a lifetime. I know that he had a match with Roman Reigns, but I think we can all agree that was just like a one-off. Now there's an actual story connected to this match, not only with Seth Rollins, who he beat Seth Rollins at Saturday night's main event, but also with CM Punk, who is by far the most popular wrestler on Monday Night Raw. This is a major opportunity for LA Knight.
I want you to grade LA Knight, his performance last night in the ring on the microphone against CM Punk.
I would give him a solid B.
Okay. Tell me what prevents you from giving him an A.
It's the one thing with LA Knight is I haven't gotten from him that holy shit moment from LA Knight. When you're going up against somebody like a Seth Rollins or a CM Punk, and you want me to believe that you could have that world championship around your waist, I kind of need that moment where you're like, whoa, I did not see that coming. Or, wow, I can't believe he just said that. I haven't gotten that from LA Knight.
Okay, but hold on. Let me narrow this down a little bit more for you.
Sure.
You're waiting. I'm not talking about LA Knight overall. Because if I said overall, give him a grade, and you said B, I'm waiting for that big holy shit moment, then I get it. I want to isolate last night. I want to isolate I want to isolate LA Knight and CM Punk before Heyman and the boys hit the ring. Just that back and forth with the two. What would you give them?
I would give him a B, and I would give him a B.
Why not an A?
Because once again, that believability that he could be a world champion, or because you need that. Like
what is not resonating with you with LA Knight?
Well, he did something last night. He did plant a seed in my head last night that I have not seen from him before. Because we talk a lot about the taglines. And we talk a lot about that he knows how to hit that line to get the audience to kind of repeat what he's saying. What I saw in LA Knight last night was a bit of an aggressive nature that I haven't really seen from him before, where it feels like the time is running out on him and he's got to pick up the pace here. I like the fact that he had a little bit of an attitude last night, not contrived attitude, but actually like he was pissed off. I don't think I've seen LA Knight be genuinely pissed off. Not like storyline pissed off or like I have to be pissed off in this situation. Like he's pissed off at Seth Rollins. Like, hey man, I beat you, but yet you still don't respect me. Why are all these other people getting attention and not me? I beat you. I beat you at Saturday night's main event. But also the way I think it's more so how he was towards CM Punk, where he got frustrated, like he pushed CM Punk down, like fuck it. Like I love the fact when Punk made the match for later last night, where he's like, "You got it," and LA Knight saying, "No, you don't talk for me. Who are you to talk for me?" Like I like that. I need to see more of that from LA Knight, not just the character LA Knight, but a guy that, hey man, I need to see that real person of who he is. And I think seeing him frustrated like he was yesterday was a definitive step in the right direction. Is it enough for him for me to give him, to your point, to grade him as an A? No. But a solid B is a step in the right direction. I just need to see more of it. Because what I saw last night is not enough for me to believe that he can beat a CM Punk or that he can win that world championship. But if I see more of this over the next few weeks, maybe by the time we get to Paris, I might have a different opinion on it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense. Even if I don't agree with it, it still makes sense. You're articulating your grade level of B. When I hear B, the first thing I hear is mid card. Because you didn't even go B plus, and I've heard you go B plus, A minus in the past. You went solid B. You're a solid mid carder. There's a lot of potential with LA Knight. It's definitely there. And we've talked about he's been in the business for a long, long time. This guy just didn't come around. And we're still trying to get him where he needs to be. And I think there's enough people in the WWE who believe that there's something there. As the promo went on, as the segment went on last night, I think LA Knight became more comfortable. There were moments in there with Punk, but these are very tiny moments that the majority of fans would not see. And because the majority of fans would not see, it probably doesn't matter to them. But these are the things that I can see, that the higher-ups can see, that will keep you at a certain level if you can't get over them. LA Knight, once or twice, I don't want to use the word struggle. Struggle is too harsh of a word, but you can tell he was trying to find his place. The cadence, the flow, the confidence, because of the memorization of what he had to say. Punk just sits there with this look on his face like, I'm waiting. Whenever you're ready, hit me with your line. And LA Knight's kind of wide-eyed looking at Punk. And you hear the pregnant pause of, what's next? What's next? Those are the things that the higher-ups hear, and those are the moments that the higher-ups see. When you get to the top of the top in the WWE, especially on the microphone, you don't get those lull moments. Everything has a flow. There's a cadence. You don't get that with a Cody. You don't get that with a Cena. You definitely don't get that with a Punk. I got that last night with a little bit with LA Knight. And those are the times where you truly have to be on your game. If you have CM Punk one-on-one in the ring, and I know it's babyface, I get that. But you still have to make sure those moments never happen. And I'm just gonna use an example. I've told you this before. When I was in the ring alone with Hulk Hogan during promo segments, and happy birthday to Hulk, yesterday was his birthday. When I was alone with him in the ring, Dave, I was salivating. Like I wanted to sink my teeth into his jugular just because I wanted to outdo him on the mic so much. I wanted at any given moment for me to end his career on the microphone because I outdid him so much. That's what I'm talking about. That eye of the tiger, so to speak, from an LA Knight. That level of confidence that I know he has. LA Knight's got a chip on his shoulder. LA Knight walks with swagger. He has his whole career, which has been a hindrance and a big help for him. He's got to channel that into those promos. Is he doing it the majority of the time? Yes. Is he missing those moments every once in a while? Yes. And it's those every once in a while moment that will keep you from the top of the food chain.
All right. Well, a couple of things from what you said. And by the way, I agree with everything you just said, obviously, as a fan watching. You're able
to see and hear what I'm articulating.
Yeah, because it's, I don't want to nitpick. It's not fair because everybody can lose their place. But what you're saying is I've seen that over. But he's also never had the opportunity. Like when you just mentioned a Punk, a Cena. That's the top. That's the tippy top of the food chain. Not many, if any, wrestlers can hang with those two guys. So that's a difficult position to be in. Plus, he hasn't been put in this position enough times where I think he's going to feel comfortable going toe-to-toe with somebody like a CM Punk. But But now he's got that opportunity. I think the next 2 weeks, Bully, are crucial for LA Knight. Might I say the next 2 weeks are probably the most important 2 weeks of LA Knight's career, leading to what we're going to see in this fatal four-way in Paris.
There's no doubt about that. He's being given an opportunity. No doubt. Did you find anything interesting about the verbiage between Punk and LA Knight when it came to LA Knight telling Punk, "Don't interfere with my match," and then Punk saying, "I interfered with your match, but I also saved your life"?
I mean, that's good. I mean, I like that because I have a feeling most likely, and I don't know how they're going to do it and if it's going to work. But do you think that this is a story that's going to continue past Paris, Punk and LA Knight?
Dave, it's the exact verbiage I talked about last week on this show. Almost verbatim. That's why I was laughing last night. That's why I was getting tweeted. Oh my God, Bully. Remember when we talked about, I said, LA Knight should be pissed off. I think you said, isn't LA Knight going to be pissed off that, that Punk interfered? I go, absolutely. CM Punk cost LA Knight a championship. But at the end of the day, CM Punk's going to turn around and go, yeah, you're right, but I also saved your life from getting curb stop on the ground.
Curb stop on the concrete because he lifted off the protector on the concrete.
Yep.
But that's awesome because they're both right.
Yes.
I can see LA Knight being frustrated. Like, you interfered, and like he said, you interfered not after the match, but during the match. And Punk is like, yeah, thanks because I saved your life because you were about to get curb stomped on the concrete. That could, listen, if I would have to think when we go into Paris, especially since Seth Rollins just captured the World Heavyweight Championship, we're not going to see a new World Heavyweight Champion in Paris, especially because it's a fatal four-way. There's no disqualification or no rules. You're going to get outside interference from Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, yada, yada, yada. I think the real story here is LA Knight and CM Punk. And this is really going to show something for LA Knight, because if there is a story between LA Knight and CM Punk, right now it's babyface. Are the fans going to side with LA Knight? And more importantly, is LA Knight going to be able to hang with CM Punk on the microphone?
Great points. What's going to be the story, though? Because I will say this. Since CM Punk has come back to the WWE, I've really enjoyed the stories that are being told with him. I loved the story of the 50-cent bracelet that he told with Drew. Absolutely loved the bracelet story. Wasn't about the actual value of the bracelet. It was the value, the sentimental value. It wasn't about the financial value of the bracelet. It was the sentimental value of the bracelet and what it meant to Punk. And we can all relate to something sentimental. I love that story. I love the Seth story. Seth tried to do to Punk what everybody else had tried to do to Punk. You walked out on us, you took your bat and your ball, and you walked up. All the stories that have been told have worked really well with Punk, in my opinion. What's the new story with Punk? What does LA Knight go after?
It's a great question, because I'll even go as far as to say, even when Punk came back in AEW, I think he elevated everybody's game that he was in a story with. MJF, Hangman Page, and now what we saw here in the WWE. I don't know what the story would be, Bully, but I think what you made a great point is, the best of Drew McIntyre we have ever seen was with CM Punk, and that story with CM Punk. Like, the WWE is banking on, I would have to think this is the ultimate litmus test for CM Punk and LA Knight. Like, hell, Punk has been able to elevate everyone's game since he's come back. LA Knight is a fan favorite. Can Punk do this for LA Knight, where coming out, whatever the story is, where LA Knight, we're going to be looking differently at LA Knight once this story with CM Punk is done?
Punk may go down the road with Knight of, I see a lot of myself in you. Brass, chip on the shoulder, thinks he knows it all. you walk around with a swagger. Didn't Punk kind of do the I see a lot of myself in you with Hangman, or didn't he do something like that in AEW?
To me, the best story that we've seen from Punk is the one with MJF, where
So he did it with
MJF,
Max.
yeah, where MJF grew up as a Punk fan, and like Punk was like, I see a lot of myself in you. And then MJF talked about the personal stories, how he felt persecuted as a child. But when he would come home from school in tears, he'd look at that Punk poster, and that was his motivation. And then MJF turned around and gave him the old fuck you, which was great. But I don't know. I don't think you could do that with LA Knight. Like, this is the problem with LA Knight. Are you going to turn LA Knight heel? If you turn LA Knight heel, then everything that makes him who LA Knight is, you're now stripping away. Are you going to see a different side of LA Knight where you become sympathetic to LA Knight? I don't think LA Knight's ever done that in his entire wrestling career, where he's took down his guard and you saw a different side. Like, I that's why when you ask what the story is, I honestly don't know what story you can have with LA Knight.
And I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just asking you for your opinion. Like, what do you think the story is going to be? Because yeah, if you turn LA Knight heel, you take away the whole LA Knight, the all that. I mean, people could still be doing it, but you're kind of fighting city. You know, you're kind of swimming upstream.
Yeah.
Turning Punk heel, I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think they're gonna listen. I suggested last week. You asked me about Punk versus LA Knight. This is the same day. The same day we talked about the verbiage, which they basically said the verbiage verbatim last night. You asked me, how about Punk versus LA Knight? I said I think Punk will guzzle him on the stick. I said what I'd rather see is Punk and LA Knight tagging together so LA Knight can get the rub. And lo and behold, last night we see Punk and LA Knight tagging together. I would love to see the relationship continue for a little while. Run parallel. They definitely don't love each other, but they definitely don't hate each other. There's always an animosity. I get a zinger in on you, you get a zinger out on me. I help you one day, you help me one day. I watch your back, you watch my back. This kind of love-hate relationship. Tango and Cash?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I don't know. Like teaming, I guess teaming just to go up against a Bronson Reed or a Braun Breaker, or like they're fighting against them. Like they both want to get their hands on Seth Rollins, but they have to get through Braun and Bronson first before so they team up together to get past them, and once they get past them, then we see the tension again between Punk and LA Knight. I mean, I guess that's a way that you could go.
If you put them against each other, here's the problem. I don't have the answer, but I can tell you what the problem is, at least in my eyes. The minute you put LA Knight versus up against CM Punk one-on-one, you've now asked the people to choose. And if you ask the people to choose between Punk and Knight, who are the majority of the people going to choose?
Punk.
And that puts Knight in a weird spot. So how do we make sure we don't put Knight in a weird spot where he doesn't leave steam? Keep him hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder with Punk.
The one, it's funny. There is somebody else involved in this match, and that's Jey Uso. And it just feels like kind of Jey Uso's fallen down that pecking order now. For a guy who's held that championship and won the Royal Rumble, it feels like, you know, he's kind of fallen off just a little bit. I mean, Jey Uso is more popular than an LA Knight. All you had to do is be amongst the 60,000 fans at SummerSlam to realize that. But it feels like the focus now is on LA Knight and where they can go with him.
Jey Uso's time might be up at the top of the card. Dave, who gets to the top of the card and stays at the top of the card for their career?
It's rare. It's a very short list of people who are able to do that.
Most people, especially like a Jey Uso who came out of a traditional tag team, climbed the ladder, became successful, couple of championship matches, a championship run, ride in the high. Eventually, the wave crashes onto the sand. And the wave washes back out, and then another wave forms. A guy like Jey Uso is not going to stay in the main event picture for the rest of his career. He's not going to stay in world championship contention for the rest of his career. It just doesn't work that way.
But he's one of those guys that you could put him back in that position, and there's credibility and there's relevance there. And, you know,
but if you put Jey Uso back into the world championship picture, are you as invested in him as you were in the past?
No, it would have to be the right story. But he's amongst that group of wrestlers, Bully, that you could put in that position. I think that over the next couple of weeks, the WWE is going to decide if LA Knight is one of those people. Is LA Knight like a main eventer, or is he a mid-carder? I think we're going to find that out over the next couple of weeks.
Back in the day, they would throw you in the deep end amongst the great whites and say, swim or get eaten alive. It doesn't happen as much these days, but I do believe in this, last night, one-on-one with Punk, tag team, open the show, close the show, main event in Paris, 4-way. You better hang in that match in every way, shape, or form. If you don't win that match, if LA Knight doesn't win that match, which he's not going to win the match.
No.
This is LA Knight needs to come out of that match with everybody talking about his performance. Wow. Yeah, Seth Rollins retained, but holy shit, LA Knight. When they go off the air in Paris, I would love to see LA Knight standing on top of the announce table with the entire arena, because you know how crazy the fans are in Paris. They like to do the sing-alongs.
Oh, the last time they were there, it was one of the best WWE crowds ever.
There might not, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. There might not be a better city in the world for chanting and singing along as Paris is. End of the show, LA Knight standing on top of the announce table with people singing LA Knight's name or whatever songs they sing, or chanting LA Knight, LA Knight. Seth goes over, Knight gets over.
But also it's important too, Bully, that they have a story in place for LA Knight once that match is over too. It can't just be like the match with Roman Reigns, like, all right, that he had a really good showing, that was a really good match, but then it's just LA Knight coming out of that with nothing there for him. There needs to be something significant for him coming out of that match.
I agree, but you also have to create a moment for the guy that becomes memorable.